The Federal Reserve has turned to flooding the economy with its money printing scheme, a so-called solution the Fed calls quantitative easing. But fiscal conservatives like Republican presidential hopeful Texas Governor Rick Perry are taking a stand against this practice.
I mean, printing more money to play politics at this particular time in American history is almost treasonous, in my opinion.
Is almost treasonous, in my opinion. Here to discuss is Texas Republican Congressman Kevin Brady, a good friend of the show. Congressman Brady, welcome back to Freedom Watch, where you are always welcome.
Thank you, Judge. Thanks for having me.
All right. We know that treason is defined in the Constitution, and it's the only crime defined in the Constitution, and printing more money doesn't come close to treason. So in fairness to Governor Perry, was this just sort of an emphatic way, if you will, and if you'll pardon me, a Texas way of saying to the chairman of the Federal Reserve, don't think you're going to affect the outcome of this election by printing money between now and November 2012? That's the way I read it. How did you read it?
Yeah, exactly, Texas. Or Judge, in fairness to Governor Perry, that's what it is. There's a frustration in Texas as the Fed has intervened, driven down the value of the dollar. We're paying more every day. In fact, we're an energy state, so we know you and I, when we go to the pump, we pay almost 50 cents more for every gallon of gas because since quantitative easing 1 and 2 took place. And as you've said often, inflation is the cruelest tax of all,
right.
And I think that frustration is felt across the country.
Congressman, Governor Perry, whom I think you know well, would you regard him as establishment or anti-establishment? And before you answer that, our two previous guests agreed with me, and I think you probably will, that at least as far as Iowa is concerned, more Republicans voted for the anti-establishment candidates, Ron Paul and Michelle Bachmann, than voted for the sort of traditional big government establishment candidates. Where is Rick Perry in that divide?
Well, he is certainly an outsider to Washington. He clearly has been critical of the stimulus, of Obamacare, of just this whole big government philosophy, and instead has taken the opposite approach in his state, which, as CEO, not just of a state, but of an economy that is world-class in size, done an amazing job in the economy, balanced a very a tough budget without tax increases. He reaches, I think, across the spectrum on social conservatives, fiscal conservatives, constitutional conservatives. So that's why I think, my guess is that's why he's shaking up the field.
Tell me your opinion of the appeal of your Republican colleague in the House, Ron Paul, who basically says the government should stay within the confines of the Constitution and leave my private life alone and leave my freedoms alone while you're at it.
You know, and I think that's a more and more compelling argument every day. Congressman Paul, well, you've got to love a man who's so laser focused on get out of these wars, end the Fed, restore the gold standard, get out of the United Nations, smaller constitutional government. He has been on that philosophy for years, and he rightfully believes more and more Americans are being attracted to that philosophy. I think that's why he did well in Iowa, and he'll tell you he's very realistic that as he continues going forward, you know, he's hoping more and more Republicans are hearing that message.
Before I let you go, last week we just endured one of the most volatile weeks in modern times in the stock market. And yesterday the president said, I might have a plan in September. Does this surprise you?
Gosh, we're getting a September surprise from the president 2.5 years after the recession officially ended. It's been a dismal recovery. Why, Mr. President, wait? Is 25 million Americans who can't find a full-time job not enough?
Got it.
Let's get on the stick.
Got it. Congressman Kevin Brady from the Lone Star State, it's a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Judge.